we're going to talk more about silence treatment, what it is, how it feels, where it's coming from. So it's probably mostly familiar to those of you who feel like you're being tortured, or perhaps you feel like your soul, your emotions are being literally cut. You also might feel fear, or you might feel anxieties when you are in this situation. You are definitely in pain, and you definitely recognize it is hurtful and harsh to be in this situation, but maybe you don't know how to communicate it, and you make classical mistakes. Can I welcome all viewers? Salama, salam alaikum, no, Sulaiman, salam alaikum, and everyone else who I'm not able to know by name. Oh, Tamkim, salam alaikum. Hello, Tamkim, I hope you're well. Right, so please know what that you need to educate yourself about silent treatment. So if you are one of those people who experienced it and you felt hurt, pushed away, neglected, you felt treated harshly, you probably know what I'm talking about. But what is silent treatment? Let's go back to basics, shall we? Well, silent treatment sets out a drama, and I need you to be aware of it. Silent treatment sets out a drama between you. So if you don't know how to react, whether you are a giver or receiver of silent treatment, you are creating or contributing to a drama. So silence treatment, in a theory, is pulling out from a conflict. It's making a decision to be distant. It's making a decision to withdraw yourself, to be silent or non-responsive in any way, sometimes even physical way, from the conflict, from the conversation you're having, whatever it is between you and your opponent, you're making that decision and you're pulling yourself away. However, this not responding creates a ripple effect on your opposite side. So you might not be aware what you're doing, but the opposite side, seeing you as you're shutting down and seeing you as a very harsh person. It also is experienced as a punishment. It's almost like you've been cut in half. And it's also because shutting down the conversation in that way is recognized by our brain as a signal to go back into fight, flight, and response. Some of us, we might also experience a very harsh or not effective communication styles from our parents, so it takes us back to that childhood. And we revisit emotions, perhaps of being neglected, perhaps of being unloved, perhaps of being reprimanded in any way. So this is the ripple effect of silence treatment. And it goes without a say, and now science confirms it is a psychological abuse because it's recognized as a passive-aggressive behavior. And as I've started from the beginning, it is creating a drama, therefore it is a power game. And who holds all the cards in the card? Well, the giver of the treatment, silent treatment. So I hope it is all clear to you. Let me see if you have any questions. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for your greetings. Brazil and Bangladesh is with me, mashallah. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. I'm here to help. Let us maybe talk more about why it is so painful. So if you are in a relationship, if that if your spouse or your friends or your mother or maybe your cousins, they're giving you silent treatment, it might trigger some pains from the past, from your childhood. But it also triggers certain points in your brain which give you a signal to feel anxious, to feel in fear for any reason. Basically, you are feeling like you're not being cared for, like you're being outcasted from the group, and like you're not being loved. That's the basic line for it. So what you entirely as a soul, as a spirit, as an emotional being and physical being experiencing is pain and hurt. So these harshful communication skills that you're experiencing making you feel very vulnerable and you want to react. So many of us, we react to it. And we are doing it, first of all, we're doing it with words. So we want to explain, we want to communicate, and we want to put our point across. Don't forget, in our brain, we have this fight-flight response already. So we either fight the situation, fly away from it, or we pretend it's not there, so swiping under the carpet. So what you probably doing as a responder of silent treatment, you are fighting it. But what a silent treatment giver does, he is flying away from the situation. Now let's look at a giver. What's going on in that person's world? What gives him excuses or her excuses to behave this way? Well, first of all, it goes without a say, it is lack of education in communication skills. So that person might not know what are the effects of his or her behavior, or they might experience very poor communication from their parents, so their childhood modeling was very toxic. Therefore, they're doing whatever they know that needs to be done, whatever worked, and it does work. Silent treatment pulls you back into the drama, and you react in certain ways. And I will explain what are the basic mistakes we're doing. Now, a person who is a giver of silent treatment might know or might be completely unaware of what he or she is doing. But it goes without to say that it is domination, it is seeking control, it is power game, and it is manipulation. And if that person does it with intention and does it with awareness, then it's deliberate and then it's malicious, right? And it is done in the purpose that they will resolve very difficult point during the communication crash between you, because they don't know any better. They also see themselves as somebody above, probably. So, and they want to let you know about it, that they are those top dog. Yeah. So it's not that we are here making excuses for a giver, because without a doubt, there is no chance for anyone to ever justify abuse, including silent treatment. However, we need to find a point in us where we are empathic with that person and we're giving 7, maybe 70 excuses, which also comes from the practice of spiritual teachings and Islamic counseling. So we give excuses, we're trying to attract that situation, we're trying deeply to understand what is causing this situation from the perspective of your opponent, if that makes sense. Let me see if you have any questions. There's so many people today. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum. I see Ameen's, I see thank you. How can you make your spouse realize that they are not fulfilling your emotional and materialistic needs? This is a very good question, Tamkim. Thank you very much for asking. And this is exactly where I want to go. I just lost my mother last week, and now I'm in a tough time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring only goodness in Barzakh and Akhirah for your mom, Kaula. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so shall we explore the options of correct attitude to silent treatment? I think we're all waiting for that in a sense. I want to, however, stress the importance of one thing, and that is that silent treatment is toxic communication. Silent treatment is the lack of communication skill between both of the partners. So in Islamic teachings, in Islamic counseling, Islamic couple counseling, we are taught to show to both parties that we meet for a reason. There is a reason why we meet. There is a reason, there is a purpose, there is destiny for us to get married. And that is the responsibility for our own self-development, but also responsibility to help another. We are also told that we are mirrors to each other. And this is our responsibility. A believing person is a mirror to another believing person. So if that situation happens in your relationship, whatever relationship you have, this is your absolute duty to bring it back, play open cards with your opponent and make him or her known, this is not on, this is not healthy, this is not how I want to create relationship with you, but how to do it. Now, first things comes first is self-responsibility. We need to find a spot in us when we are able to self-reflect, take ourselves to accountability. So we ask ourselves whether I had actually triggered something in my opponent. Have I said something? Have I done something that makes that person going into their corners, that makes that person flying away, freezing in that situation, running away from the conflict? Because surely if you are with this person, especially if it's your spouse, if you are close with that person, closer than the garment with that person, then you know that this person has difficulties in communication skills. But you also should know that your communication skills are not maybe modeled correctly to communicate with your spouse. So there must be some ways that you're going wrong about communicating with that person. What I mean is that you and that person, you're not on the same level. And the reason why you met as a couple or maybe as opposite sides in any type of relationship is to balance that, because you need to mirror to each other mistakes, each other shortcomings. If you start bickering, if you start fighting, there's no chance for you to fulfill that higher purpose of your souls. So first of all, look inside of yourself. Make sure that there is something that you can reflect upon. And if you've made mistake, be honest about it. Say, I apologize if I pushed you to that point. Perhaps there's something that I do, perhaps I don't see what I do. Can I clarify to you, and this is the second point, can I clarify to you that at the moment you are practicing silent treatment, which is abuse, which is unacceptable accordingly to my values and our religious values. It is actually recognized as an emotional abuse, and I'm not prepared to accept it. I'm not prepared to put up with it. And the third point, you making a suggestion for the future. Can I maybe suggest alternative to us? Perhaps you could let me know in advance, look what I'm doing here. I've never ever, all this time, I've never pointed the finger at another person. I've actually done this. And I've started with the first point of resolution with self-reflection. Because then I'm not allowing that person to go into self-defense. I am actually letting that person know that I'm serious about this conflict. I'm serious about this relationship. And this is how I think we could resolve it. And you invite that person, what do you think? So on the third step of this conflict resolution, you're making suggestion. Perhaps you could let me know in advance, maybe blink your eye, or maybe give me a sign with your hand. I don't know, maybe you want to sit down. Whatever it is in the heat of the moment, that I will understand that I'm going too far, that I'm pushing you away. And perhaps instead of you shutting down and leaving the place, perhaps you could let me know that you need a space out. You need to space to think about it. And if you let me know that you need a space, I promise you, I will accept that. I promise you, I'm going to give you that space. And at the last sentence, you let that person know, because taking a space is not silence treatment. And in religion of Islam, we have 3 days for arguments to be not resolved. Therefore, you could, if you are in that paradigm, religious and spiritual paradigm of Islam, therefore you can make a contract in your relationship that you are allowed individually and as a couple to give each other a space, not a silence treatment, a space for around 3 days, not more. Okay, and that is actually a requirement from your God, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you have to go against you and try to make amends happen. This is advice for all of you who want to stay close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then just watch the miracles happen. So the response, if you've noticed, to this silent treatment scenarios is to take charge of situation. Do not fall into the trap. And what do? You might be one of those people who are running around or after people. You were calling, sending text messages, maybe following, becoming like a stalker. Maybe you were trying to reason why you feel hurt, and at the moment you were trying to explain them, look, you're hurting me, why are you doing this to me, I don't deserve it, why are you behaving this way. You might have also been one of those people who try to cuddle that person. Oh, you poor thing, can I soothe you, can I cuddle you, can I please you in any way? And the worst thing that we can do, and maybe you've been a victim of that behavior as well, is to apologize straight away. It's all my fault. Please forgive me. Please just come back to normal. It is an actual reaction that we want to avoid this situation. However, for the sake of your self-esteem, for the sake of your self-respect, you want to set your own standards. And because this person is either unaware or does it maliciously, your responsibility for yourself, and if you have children, then you have to also model behavior for them, then you have responsibility for your children, is to show that this behavior is unacceptable. I'm not accepting that. Be an example of the person who others want to be around. Be an example of the person who has the right communication skills with self-esteem, with self-respect. Work on your communication styles as well, because if you are communicating with a person who is not on your level, then just like Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you need to be intelligent enough. You need to get yourself to the point when you have the right skills, communication skills on all social levels, because what we know about Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is that he could speak to beggars, he could speak to traders, he could speak to chief executives, he could speak to women, to children, and the story goes on. And there is a blessing and there is a lesson in that. So never ever think of yourself that you are to blame, never ever think that you are also on the same level. It's not the case. It's the case of you mirroring to each other, and it's the case for you to practice something, to learn something on a very personal, spiritual as well level. So I invite you to treat those situations with pure intentions for the sake of your purification and pleasing your God. Because on the day of judgment, what you want to do is to stand there and say, Ya Allah, I've done my best. Ya Allah, I've looked for skills, I looked for advices, and I tried my best. And you are going to be responsible, taken to responsibility and accountability only for your actions, not your spouse, not that opponent who has wrong, toxic, sometimes malicious communication skills. So I hope it helps you. Let me find out if you have any more questions. No, I don't see you having any more questions. I invite you to maybe type something. whilst I am concluding. So silence treatment is recognized as a psychological abuse. It is that point when other person is withdrawing themselves physically and emotionally and intellectually from that situation, but also sometimes consciously manipulating the situation and showing who is top dog, meaning they're using the power game. That's why I call it a drama. And for many of us, for us who are receivers, we go back to childhood and we feel less worthy, less loved. And for those of us who are givers, we're mostly unaware, but we do it from the point of hurt and from the point of not knowing how to respond to situation correctly. So we have things to repair in our self-development, meaning maybe heal our childhood problems if we are givers, if we are receivers. If we are receivers, perhaps we need to look at the communication styles. Don't forget, we're not on the same levels. We need to be clever, just like Prophet ﷺ. And if we are the givers, again, we need to work on our communication skills. There's no way around it. Silence treatment is abuse. Science proves it, and it's absolutely unacceptable. And the best response to this situation is for receiver to set grounds and model the behavior. So first of all, you reflect on yourself and you ask yourself question: have I done something wrong to trigger it? Then you go back to your let's call him perpetrator or her perpetrator, and you clarify, I feel this is a silence treatment. I'm not accepting it. I'm sorry if I've triggered it. Please let me know in the future what happened. If you need time out, take time out. We have 3 days to take time out, but let me know you're coming back. So you have to train yourself, both of you, to the point when you're realizing this is a meeting of two different individuals with two different skills, perhaps not maybe on the same level, and you've met for the purpose, and you have no other way but find a solution. I hope it helps. I'm not going to take any more of your time. If you want to book a free consultation with me, you can do it with the link which I'm going to attach to this video. Thank you very much for viewing. Assalamu alaikum to you all.